5 dark psychology tricks that always work. Modern Stoic. Psychology facts. Dark psychology can seem like a complex field of knowledge, but the reality is, it's just as intricate to use as it is to understand. The true value of learning these techniques isn't necessarily about using them to manipulate others, but rather about understanding how they might be used against you. Knowledge is power, and in this case, it can act as a shield. When you learn the subtle strategies behind dark psychology, you become more aware of the ways people may try to influence or control your decisions. It's important to recognize these tactics when they're being used, whether for personal gain or otherwise. That said, some of these methods can be unethical, so it's vital to wield this knowledge with caution and responsibility. As the philosopher Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." The same principle can be applied here. Understanding dark psychology isn't about using it to manipulate others, but about reducing your vulnerabilities, ensuring your mind remains calm, and making thoughtful, independent decisions without being swayed by external influences. Remember, knowledge itself is neutral, it's how you use it that defines its power. The first trick is social proof. The first trick is social proof, a psychological principle that can shape our thoughts and actions based on what we perceive others to be doing. Let me explain how this works through a real-life example from 2016. I went to a store with a clear decision already made in my mind to buy a particular smartphone. However, when I arrived, the phone I had chosen was out of stock. The salesman, seizing the opportunity, showed me a slightly outdated phone, claiming it was the best phone available at the time, and even suggested that for a little extra money, I could upgrade to this phone. He then pulled the very same phone from his pocket, signaling to me that he was also using it. The image of someone from such a prominent store using the same device made me feel like it must be a worthy choice. It was subtle, yet powerful, a perfect example of how social proof works. Although the phone wasn't truly the best option, I ended up buying it simply because I saw others, in this case the salesman, validate its value. This tactic works because of our innate tendency to follow the crowd. Manipulation becomes highly effective when we see many people enjoying or endorsing something, making us feel that it's the right thing to do. This principle is widely used by marketers and advertisers who generate what we call a fake social proof bubble. Think of the glowing reviews of a movie that you see on social media or on a poster. Even if the movie isn't great, you might feel compelled to go see it because everyone else seems to love it. Robert Cialdini, in his book Influence: The Psychology of Persuasion, explains that when we're in a state of uncertainty, we naturally look to others for guidance. This is why we often turn to celebrities, friends, or social media to figure out what's right. Take, for instance, how we form opinions about people before meeting them. When you walk into a room with a preconceived image of someone based on what you've heard from others, your perception of them will likely be influenced by those prior opinions. This is why, if you boast about your accomplishments in front of friends to impress someone, your words could plant an impression in that person's mind, even if they haven't yet formed their own opinion of you. This is the subtle yet impactful influence of social proof, and it highlights how easily our minds can be swayed by the behaviors and opinions of others. The second trick is love bombing. Dark psychology is a potent tool, one that, when used wisely, can shape relationships, manipulate perceptions, and alter behaviors. One of the most insidious tricks employed in relationships is love bombing. This psychological manipulation tactic is used to gain control by showering the target with an overwhelming amount of affection, compliments, and attention. Imagine being bombarded with so much love that you feel adored, appreciated, and perhaps even cherished. But this affection comes with a hidden agenda. The goal isn't genuine connection, it's control. Love bombing isn't just restricted to romantic relationships, though. It seeps into friendships, family dynamics, school, even social media, where it can be manipulated for influence. The manipulator feeds you with affection to build an emotional bond, making you feel as if you're at the center of their world. Once the bond is solidified, they begin to pull back, diminishing their attention and affection, leaving you craving their approval. This emotional withdrawal triggers a panic, forcing you to chase after them to restore the connection. The manipulator, having established control over your emotional state, now has the power to make you do things you wouldn't normally consider, compromising your values and bending to their will. This is how love bombing works, creating a sense of urgency and dependence, manipulating the target's emotional vulnerability. It forces them into submission, making them feel as though their very sense of self-worth relies on the manipulator's affection. The truth is, love bombing is a dangerous tool of emotional control. Recognizing this manipulation is essential in protecting your emotional well-being. You must always remain vigilant in relationships. Ask yourself, are you truly receiving love, or are you being manipulated to believe you are? What you allow is what will continue, says Tony Gaskins, reminding us that we hold the power to choose what behaviors we tolerate. Stand firm. Trust in your worth. Don't fall prey to false affection that only exists to control you. Share your thoughts below. Have you ever encountered love bombing in your life? Let's talk about it. You have the strength to break free from these cycles, and it starts now. The third trick is reason persuasion. The third dark psychology trick to be aware of is the power of reason persuasion. This deceptively simple but incredibly effective technique involves using logical arguments to influence someone to do what the manipulator wants. The key here is not just presenting a need, but framing it in a way that taps into the target's reasoning process. For instance, imagine two homeless individuals approach you for help. One simply asks for money, while the other explains that they haven't eaten since yesterday and are in desperate need. Instinctively, you're more likely to give to the second person, not because of the urgency of their situation, but because they presented a reason, an explanation that appeals directly to your sense of logic and empathy. This simple shift in narrative taps into something deep within us, the need to justify our actions, especially when making decisions that involve others. In a more sinister context, manipulators who wish to achieve something harmful, like a criminal mastermind planning a heist, will carefully select someone vulnerable, someone who is desperate, perhaps unemployed or financially struggling. They'll present a well-thought-out plan, explaining how the crime will not only solve the person's financial woes, but will also come with minimal risks, playing on the target's fear of continuing their struggles. The logic is so persuasive, so seemingly reasonable, that the individual begins to believe that this act of wrongdoing is the only solution to their problems. It's a powerful form of manipulation, one that often leads to crimes being committed because the target is convinced that they're simply following a logical path to a solution. It's crucial to recognize that behind many criminal acts and unethical decisions lies this simple trick, the appeal to reason, turning ordinary individuals into pawns in a larger scheme. This trick works not because it's rooted in truth, but because it plays on the way humans naturally reason and justify their decisions. By understanding this dark trick, you can better guard yourself against manipulation in your own life. Be cautious of those who provide logical justifications that seem too good to be true. It's a reminder to question the motivations behind every seemingly rational request, and to ask yourself whether the reasoning truly aligns with your values and principles. Stay vigilant and let your own judgment be the final word. The fourth trick is self-abasement. The fourth trick in dark psychology is self-abasement, a subtle yet highly effective technique. Unlike other forms of manipulation that rely on power, dominance, or insults, self-abasement revolves around showing humility and lowering oneself in front of others. It works on the principle that by diminishing one's own worth or displaying vulnerability, the manipulator can make the other person feel more powerful, often leading them to offer forgiveness or praise in return. This strategy can be seen in both personal and professional relationships, especially when trying to smooth over conflict or gain someone's trust. For instance, when your partner is upset with you, using self-abasement can be more effective than trying to reason with them or defend yourself. In such moments, your usual persuasive tactics may fall short, as emotions often take over rational thinking. Instead, you might say something like, "I must be the worst partner in the world. I'm so bad I can't even manage a simple relationship." This humble admission shifts the power dynamic, putting the other person in a position where they may feel compelled to console you, praise you, or forgive you without realizing they're being manipulated. Self-abasement is often employed in romantic relationships, especially when one partner feels insecure or guilty about a minor mistake. The technique works because it triggers a psychological reaction where the other person feels sympathetic and may offer more praise or affection than deserved. It's a clever manipulation that's difficult to recognize, as it doesn't involve aggression or overt control, but instead makes the manipulator appear humble and remorseful. This tactic can even be seen when someone is fishing for compliments, saying, "I know I'm terrible at this, but I'll try anyway," expecting to be reassured of their worth. As with all psychological tricks, it's essential to use them ethically. In relationships, while these tactics might initially seem harmless, they can create an imbalance, leading to a power struggle over time. What might start as a simple way to get a compliment or avoid conflict can evolve into a pattern of manipulation that damages trust and emotional well-being. Have you ever experienced someone using self-abasement to manipulate you, or perhaps used it yourself? Let us know in the comments how this technique played out in your life and how you would respond in such a situation. The fifth trick is going slightly wrong. The fifth trick is an intriguing psychological maneuver that often flies under the radar, yet works like a charm. It's the art of giving a bit of wrong information with complete confidence. This technique, frequently used by top manipulators, is subtle but highly effective. It operates on a psychological principle. When you provide slightly incorrect details, people are naturally inclined to correct you, often revealing more information than they intend. This tactic is powerful because it allows you to gain insights you wouldn't have otherwise. It's about creating a situation where your target feels compelled to provide you with the missing pieces of the puzzle, all while they're convinced they're just correcting a small mistake. Let me illustrate this with a simple, real-life example. Picture a neighbour's aunt who wants to find out about her neighbour's child's exam results. She asks, "So, I heard David topped the class." By phrasing it in this way, she plants a seed of uncertainty in her neighbour's mind. The neighbour, eager to correct her, might reply, "No, actually, he didn't top the class, but he did score better than last time." Now, the aunt has not only learned the real result, but also the added detail of how David performed compared to his previous exams. This strategy works wonders because it leverages a natural desire for people to set the record straight. As a modern Stoic, you can take this psychological tool and apply it carefully. To use it effectively, you must begin your conversations with mild, subtle inquiries, questions that don't seem like they're probing for information, but rather casual curiosity. The key here is to make sure your target feels comfortable and unaware of your underlying intention. If you're too overt, they'll catch on, and your trick will backfire. This method, however, when used correctly, opens doors to understanding what people are really thinking and often uncovers information they didn't intend to share. But don't forget, this trick is a double-edged sword. The person you're conversing with may have watched this video too. If they've caught on to this strategy, they may try to turn the tables on you. The key is to stay calm and confident. If you follow this advice, you'll learn how to read people more accurately and gather more than what's being directly said. Just like in the realm of Stoic wisdom, always remember, knowledge is power. The more you understand about those around you, the better you can navigate life's challenges and relationships. Try this trick in your next conversation. Start by saying something slightly off in a confident manner. Notice how the other person reacts. Are they correcting you? If so, you've just gained valuable insight into their thoughts. If you found this trick useful, drop a comment below and tell me how you plan to use this in your life. Like and subscribe to get more powerful techniques that will sharpen your social skills. You're in control of your reality. Own it today. Understanding these techniques doesn't just help you protect yourself, it also enhances your communication skills. By recognizing when these tactics are being used against you, you can counteract them with clear and assertive communication. You don't have to be a victim of mind games or emotional manipulation. Knowledge is the ultimate power in these situations. By learning about these tricks, you can better navigate social dynamics, whether you're dealing with manipulative people in your personal life or facing high-pressure decisions in business. Recognizing dark psychology isn't just about defense, it's also about self-awareness. Understanding human motivations and behavioral patterns helps you build better relationships and make informed decisions. We're all constantly interacting with others, and by mastering these psychological principles, we can improve our relationships, strengthen our decision-making, and avoid falling prey to harmful behaviors. With a little practice and awareness, you can transform these strategies from a tool of manipulation into a tool of self-empowerment. So if you found this video insightful and want to dive deeper into the fascinating world of dark psychology, don't hesitate to like, comment, and share your thoughts. What other psychological techniques have you encountered, and how did you handle them? If you'd like to explore specific aspects of dark psychology further, let me know in the comments, and I'll be happy to bring you more in-depth content. Subscribe for more engaging, informative content that will help you master human behavior and make smarter, more confident decisions in your personal and professional life. Stay tuned for the next video, where we'll delve even deeper into the mysteries of human psychology.